So, we should talk about the departure of the New Day, and the apparent story that there are wrestlers, several of them, being asked
Let,
to
let,
take.
can we talk about New Day first before we get to shitting on people?
Sure.
I know you want to put it together, but like you can do part one, part A, part B. But yeah, man, the New Day, they announced over the weekend that they have mutually parted. Or I don't know who announced, but like it was announced that the New Day and WWE have mutually parted ways, and that set off a chain reaction of, I think it's I don't know if it's backlash because the press releasing is mutually parted ways, but a lot of people are upset, and rightfully so. This is one of the most memorable acts of the last decade or 15 years of WWE. I think they're the most decorated tag team in
They are
WWE history. Okay.
16-time champs.
I didn't figure they'd be going back and forth with the Usos for who has 17, 18,
Yeah.
19, 20. So I want to know for sure. But yeah, they are one of the most unique acts in the history of professional wrestling. And at basically at every single step, they succeeded despite being basically set up to fail at every turn. I don't think I've ever seen a Vince McMahon a act that was around Vince McMahon where Vince McMahon was so out of touch and seemingly wanted to fuck them over, and they happened to, because of their charm, their wit, their whimsy, and the power of positivity, they were able to overcome such obstacles. Like, it was amazing. Like, they were, when they came out after their first, when they all decided they're sick and tired, enough is enough, it's time for a change, they went away and they came back with the New Day thing, and there was all this, the gospel music. We thought this was dead on arrival. We thought this shit sucked. It was awful, and we were right because they immediately changed it. Because they immediately started altering things, and when they immediately start altering things, they start adding the personality of this black nerdum that, like, they're almost like the Kanye of pro wrestling in a way where it's like, we have seen gangster rap to death. We have seen
the Nation of Domination. That was the whole thing. They're the next Nation of Domination, and that's what everybody wanted them to be. And they were like, "Nah, we something else."
Right. So what I was saying, I lost my point, but there was so much of we have militant, we have gangster thugs, we have militant types, right? Nation Domination is the militant version, right? Gangsters and thugs, that's Harlem Heat.
Crime Time.
Right, crime, yeah. That's New Jack, that's all that. We had that in wrestling. And
we had the athletes. We had The Rock basically being Deion Sanders, and it's like the superstar athlete, Bobby Lashley, the Black Muscle Man.
Yeah, the nondescript athlete that has all the tools. That's another thing, right? But what we hadn't had was like, hey, what most black people are in this country, which is like, not just kind of just middle class and charming, and
and largely fighting uphill in whatever their chosen profession is.
Yeah. So that fits in. That, I mean, I don't think that was I think that was the meta story more than the actual than the kayfabe story. But it still worked. It still worked along the way, and also fit into the Kofi Mania stuff, right? So, it ended up working out like gangbusters, and they were funny, and Xavier was was able to show a side of himself that he had not been able to show because he was doing the weird shit he did when he debuted with R-Truth. That was I thought he was there. The New Day was not the first time I thought Xavier was dead on arrival. Okay, I was just glad. I'll put it like that. But it ended up working. It ended up great. Francesca, the fucking trombone. It makes no sense. But it's pro wrestling and it's goofy and it's wacky. And these are goofy, wacky, large-in-life characters that are charming. And honestly, they made it all work. And they were a great team, all three of them together.
And they should get the credit for coming up with that stuff themselves, because people weren't writing for them after a while. They couldn't.
It was obvious. It was obvious because it's like these punchlines. This is not this. this is too online. This is too fast and reactive based off of what happened. Like, they were saying things on SmackDowns or Raws that happened like 2 days before it popped off. Like, they were talking about trending current things in their store in whatever promos they were doing. And it was popping the crowd all the time. And I'm sure backstage were like, what's going on? What's happening? Why is the crowd reacting to this stuff? Because these are the writing team. In. Like, this we're talking about Black Twitter. Like, if not for Black Twitter and not for it being the New Day, that would have never have worked.
Ever.
They were an extension of the zeitgeist in a way that, like, this McMahon and them, they love to claim they want to be, but they can't, and they never have been because
they're always late.
They're always behind. They're always out of touch. They're always, right wing. I don't know how to say it any more without any more clarity, without sugarcoating it. Like, they want to be tapped in the same way that UFC's tapped in. And that was before TKO, the merger. That was before that.
Yeah. And then, like, on top of that, like, these guys are really good wrestlers, like, in their own right. Like, for me, they're the best WWE tag team there ever was. And, they had a lot of great battles with the Usos. Like, 2017 is probably the peak of their rivalry.
Yeah.
Carries all the way over to this, like, really powerful thing during Kofi Mania where they forfeit and allow Kofi to essentially advance in the gauntlet. And that was just like a testament to everything those two teams built together. And honestly, what can kind of be looked at as like this kind of lost era, because like you think about 2019, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's the last year kind of without that's the last year WWE exists just kind of by itself, right? Yeah. Before AEW comes into picture. And I think a lot of the new history of WWE is basically written from the moment Roman comes back and joins with Paul Heyman. Like, okay. I think you press a button there and it's like everything forward. So, the Kofi thing, gets kind of lumped back a little bit, I feel like. And I think that they were such a special act just because they made people happy. They made people laugh. They tried them as heels, and they were just so funny and so charismatic. They had to become faces. We know about the disaster heel turn that happened a few years ago when basically Big E obviously couldn't participate, and the creative team really had no interest in it. I don't really hold that against those guys because they did their part. Like, and it was like obvious, like the thing with them is like, all right, well, where do we want to see them go now? And it's like, well, they've always kind of had one eye around the world. They've always had something going on with the Elite.
They've teased that since basically 2017 or 18.
Yeah, and I just think about those guys, and then once Big E breaks his neck, the act is kind of fatally flawed from there because it was always about the three of them. Like, and it was like you could watch those guys and feel like you're out there with your homeboys in a group chat or whatever, or your homeboys doing y'all thing in front of the world. And the thing about it was Kofi Kingston, WWE, in my mind, was already done with him before, he linked up with the New Day. Yeah, he was going to be a mid-carder that was around, and he was winning some U.S. belts, but they had already given him the IC, the U.S. belt. They weren't really ever going to go forward with him, and then on him, which maybe is a little bit of old school working or whatever, he sees these young guys that come to him. He could have told them to fuck off, essentially, like at that point, because he had already kind of been established. But, looking at it, I think he just looked around and was like, what else I'm going to do? Like, at this point, how else I'm going to, survive? And in that game of survival, you walk into a career-making partnership. Kofi Kingston will be much more remembered for the New Day than being Jamaican at this point. Yeah,
being the fake Jamaican,
and
easily. Big
E, they brought him in and had no idea what to do with him.
No, he was a heater for Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah. IC champion a few times, but nothing. Like, he was already from 2012 to 2014 kind of like, there's all this potential, there's all this power lift stuff, but he's short. Like, and you could see that was the problem they had.
Mm-hmm. They were in. And they even Big E acknowledged that he, as far as the New Day thing, he was before it popped off. He was like, "Hey man," he's looking around like, "I don't know if I'm gonna make it because like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know if I'm being used right." And then this happened, and the rest is history. And it's like this collective, like they all were seemingly on the outs. And then they this thing they get paired together.
Woods, as you mentioned, was a total flop.
Yeah, like they were all on the outs, and then for some reason they all got put together. Gee, I wonder why. And then it worked out, and they ended up becoming one of the most recognized, beloved acts in the history of WWE. And it sucks that what happened to Big E, and like obviously time changes. You can't have to stay in power forever, but you would have wished that they would have been able to come up with something, or make a better use of them than they had the last, or post that heel turn that didn't go anywhere really, and they didn't capitalize. They didn't seem interested in capitalizing on it, and they're not getting used. And then they get hit with the "hey, come take a pay cut." And one of the things about them that was always known was that their contracts are all tied together to where like all three of them, their contracts had the same end date. So they can have collective bargaining power. So it comes to this, they're like, "Hey, you should take a pay cut." They both look like,
after all this money we've drawn in this promotion,
we're the fuck out of here. Bye.
Like, after all this money we've drawn in this promotion, and we have not mentioned it thus far, these are merchandising monsters. Like,
monsters.
And
merch freaks. In the words of Nick Jackson, merch freaks.
If anybody would have sold all that shit, they would have got chances way faster than they did. Like, if this was the Shield that was doing this, oh my God.
So was that 2016 or 17 when they had the Survivor Series match between the New Day and the Shield?
I think that was 17.
17. So up to that point, the New Day may have sold more merch as the New Day with the bootios and the crazy shirts and the unicorns and all that shit than Reigns, Roman, Ambrose all together. Like up to that point. They were. I think you got to go back in time. People that were not watching wrestling at the point in time, 2015 through 17, New Day. They were on like they made John Cena lay the fuck down. That's how big they were.
Yeah. Great. Definitely says, "I just want to destroy the Fed fan narrative before they pull the Mercedes ungrateful argument. The New Day don't have a tag trios win at WrestleMania until 2025. Yeah, they sunned them at a bunch of WrestleManias, made them the hosts, did a bunch of stuff.
What they did by adding Luke Harper and Eric Rowan to their match was disgusting.
Yeah,
it was like they had built the best program between two tag teams in WWE history, 2v2 ever, or best feud ever, best rivalry ever. And their moment was to get to, or their time was to get to, was at WrestleMania 34.
Yeah.
And then they just added them to that, and then they ended up beating both teams. Neither team won.
Yeah.
And then flash forward 5 years, Rowan and Harper aren't even in WWE. Great, Vince.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, it's tough, man. And it's like, you can talk about the ups and downs in their careers and all that, and then obviously Kofi becomes a world champion. Big E wins it on a Money in the Bank thing years later, and Xavier even wins King of the Ring, and he's like this. He launches up, down, down, and that's a whole nother huge thing, that revenue source that he ends up bringing for the company and discovering for them.
Always showed value, those three.
Always. So it's like, I always looked at Woods like they never got enough out of Woods. I know he was small. I know he obviously probably would have ran into like some, well, who's going to actually put this guy over type stuff. But if he ends up elsewhere, think about it, James. They promoted his non-WWE name for over a decade, like through their fucking IP.
Yeah.
That boy he is smart. So like when he comes out as Austin Creed at AEW, because don't get it twisted, that's the only place these guys are going. TNA, not happening. Lucha Underground, they trying to relaunch that. You won't see the New Day there. New Japan Pro Wrestling, they're black. So,
You would disrespect the legacy of Bob Sapp and Ricochet?
Shit.
And Shelton Benjamin?
Shit.
And MVP? I'm running out of, and Kevin Knight? I'm running out of names quickly.
Shit.
Oh, man.
But yeah, I really enjoy the New Day as an act, and I guess it's about what do you think they have going forward, because like I think Xavier Woods has plenty. Kofi I think has seen better days. Like
how old is Kofi now?
Kofi's 44 now, and it's like maybe it's a chance for him to be like, you know what, let me off the leash. Maybe I got something in there.
I mean, it's crazy to me that like it's crazy to me they let him go at 44, given that like this by the time they start pushing motherfuckers to the main event in WWE, he already been a champion. Already had the best match at WrestleMania. Already had an all-time classic at WrestleMania. Amazing to let him go.
But
you think Jacob Fatu gonna mean more to WWE in the next decade than Kofi Kingston New Day did? Want to bet on that?
I don't know, unless he gets that Samoan mega push, but yeah, man, it's like I see.
You seen the wrestle before, right?
What's up?
You seen the wrestle before, right?
I've seen him wrestle. I like Jacob Fatu.
You seen him wrestle in WWE before, right? To be more specific, okay.
Shit.
We'll see.
So like, I think Woods is gonna really come out of his shell, or quote unquote, and kind of retake, because he's always kind of been the third guy. I think he kind of goes into this. He's gonna be an awesome talker. He's gonna probably relaunch some video game stuff elsewhere. He's gonna make a ton of money. I'm not worried about that guy at all. And the fact that they said, "Hey, we gonna pay y'all 50% less. What do y'all think about it?" And the New Day told them to get fucked. Immense respect. Immense respect, because like
they are not marks.
They're not marks.
They always had this in place in case it was whenever shit hit the fan, and shit hit the fan, and it is what it is.
Hey, and if you're them, why would you not re-sign with WWE? Because you would assume you're a Hall of Fame act. You assume they're gonna take care of you forever. You've been there forever. Kofi Kingston showed up in 2008, I believe. Something like that. Austin Creed has been there
since like 2012 at least.
FCW, something like that. Like,
or he's been on the main roster since like 2012. No. 12 or 13 or something like that. Like, no, was he before? Did he come up before Big E?
Yes, he was up there.
Okay,
by
so 2012
himself.
then. 2012, because that shit with R-Truth, Because wasn't he like R-Truth? R-Truth brought him up like after the Awesome Truth shit, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So that sounds around like 2012, 13. Yeah.
So like when I see them and I'm like, yeah, man, they told those guys to go. This is a testament to them that they did not have to take that 50% cut, because I imagine there are some guys that do not have other options waiting for them on the outside like that. So like, they've cut the amount of work down in WWE, which is their justification to do this, simultaneously while paying Ari Emanuel several hundreds of millions of dollars or tens of millions of dollars. Nick Khan the same. And this is just the unfortunate reality of like TKO in their attempt to destroy the wrestling business. First, they took like all those matches from you on pay-per-view. They tried to wrap it in, and when I say they, I mean their fans and all that. Try to wrap it in. Oh, it's more compact. It doesn't take all day. It's less, whatever. I'm like, but these shows are the same length.
Yeah.
Like,
I like having my screen on 40 minutes between matches, because for some reason, give me time to do laundry and fold my laundry or some shit. I don't know.
Walk around and get a sandwich, and you don't like to have some downtime, and use the bathroom between like people dress it up in everything, and they were taking from you and stealing from you the entire time, right? So what happens next is obviously it's not going to stop there. They're going to find ways to trim their money, and look, you get less matches on pay-per-view. You got less spots for people. There's less people you need ultimately.
WrestleMania Saudi Arabia next year. Like
less is less. They are trying to take from you. Yeah. And as a podcast that means to be pro fan and pro wrestler, right? I don't know how you watched the TKO era of WWE. Look, and the Vince McMahon era of WWE had its own set of issues, right? However, this shit here is so maniacally evil, like in a way to where it's like, oh man, like at least Vince McMahon and them gave you the WWE network for $9.99. It felt like, okay, you know, I got the entire history of wrestling, whatever. They have zapped that shit up and thrown it on YouTube and in bits and pieces and sold it for they strip mine the network and auction it off for parts, essentially. And what they're doing, they're about to air this Backlash show. And I guess we can kind of roll into that. You know, they got rid of Jeff Cobb. They got rid of fucking Tangaloa. I don't give a fuck. But God bless them or whatever, but it's bigger than them right now.
Remember when Solo Sikoa main evented SummerSlam? Remember when like people were trying to talk about how charismatic and funny he is as a heel that eats shit and all that kind of stuff, and his book is faction. His book is fucking faction. This was a waste. Remember when we talked about this with Baron Corbin? All this shit they're doing, like when they did Corbin Goon, when it's Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre serving for fucking Baron Corbin. How do we see it? And they don't.
When you say they, who do you mean?
They meaning Vince McMahon. They would have pushed Baron Corbin as opposed to Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They're so invested in this fucking bloodline stuff that they are putting out the Usos' little brother, change his name, making him be a monster or whatever else, and then like you see him not be good at the charisma stuff that like that family is like the thing against the Maya Via family tree through, you know, what their key success was overwhelming charisma and athleticism, not like great matches or whatever else. And like he's not that. He's not like his brother or his cousin. And then they had to bring in motherfuckers that are from other islands to make it to kind of pieces together. This Polynesian Civil War shit. And then like, oh no, never mind. We're done. We're done. We're not doing Solo Sikoa and trying to make him, you know, face against Roman Reigns ever again. He that shit is blood side B team.
Yeah.
Or bloodline B team.
So they are airing this pay-per-view that is going to have Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu headlining it. And this is just another example of like weird stuff. So they're going to air the first two matches on ESPN. And what they're going to do is air 3 matches on the app. James, they are making people pay $30 a month for this app.
Mm-hmm.
So they are essentially selling 3 matches for $30. This is insanity.
Rich, there are promotions in the past where I've watched where I say, you know what? I will spend $30 for a match or 2 or 3 on a pay-per-view. Absolutely. AEW does that, right? WWE has done that for me. The NXT era, like before 2009 or before 2020, before pandemic era of NXT Black and Gold, would do that with Takeover for me. New Japan has done that. Stardom has done that. Some of these promotions still can do that. I don't think there is a single thing that WWE can put out right now, unless you literally handed me the book and let me book it, where I actually want to spend $30 to go see for 3 matches. That's absurd. Yeah. And when I mean give me the book, is like, get The Rock. Come on down. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, you know, I don't know. I don't know what the average WWE fan that watches Faithful, you know, and true and loyal to the soil. I feel bad for them.
Yeah, it's like,
because they love this, they love promotion, and they keep getting fucked over. And like, don't get me wrong, I still love the promotion in a way where like, I still have this nostalgic feeling. There's tons of wrestlers there that I still want to see and would like to see them doing cool things. They just don't have an opportunity to do it. And
look, I wish they were good too. I've recently started like watching it again in an effort to be like, okay, I need to know what it looks like so I can
you can properly shit on it. Correct. You're fair. You're being fair.
No, there is that.
No.
I want to see the contrast.
It is unethical to shit on something for rage bait if you're not actually watching it. And me and you have never ran that game, that grifter game.
Yeah,
like, we're not Stephen A. Smith looking at the fucking playing solitaire while we're at the fucking finals. We don't do that. The shit we talk about, we're watching. We don't talk about Stardom because I'm not watching Stardom.
Yeah, like
that's the real.
I'm approaching it in good faith. Like I would like it to be good, and there are some stuff that I'm like, okay, cool or whatever. Yeah. But like, I watch it and I'm seeing like this promotion right now, almost like I had a talk with a friend in wrestling and. He said something that's probably going to stick with me, I think, for the rest of the time that I'm watching wrestling. It's like you can learn a lot about a bad promotion or when a promotion is doing bad. So, like, I'm watching a lot of WWE right now to learn, like, kind of what's going wrong, what they're fucking up. And honestly, like, it's like a switch of, like, the AEW stuff from a few years ago. And what's going on now, like, it can change at any time. So, like, it's a good contrast to watch both. Like, as far as, like, to see, you know, because I got some stuff in AEW I'm going to talk about for this Dynamite that I'm about to pull out the hammer on.
This was a very uneventful Dynamite, but go ahead.
But, yeah, like, if you're, like, I think the people that are watching every week that, like, are just loyal to the soil, like you said, ride or die, and they've, like, felt like they had to make this commitment not only for this, but they've been buying these crazy ass ticket prices for a few years now.
Them belts got to be super expensive still.
All that shit is like just adding up, and all they're doing is rinsing you, like, and telling you cannot enjoy pro wrestling in the way that you kind of always have. And I don't agree with their opinions mostly, but I do feel bad for them as people that feel like they can't engage with this probably lifelong hobby in the same way. Yeah. So it's like, I think they got a few choices. They could always choose to watch something else or whatever, but it's not going to happen for a lot of people. So it's like, I feel like both WWE, TKO, because WWE really there's no split here. And there's not like this faction inside of WWE trying to protect everything from TKO. They're like, nah, just
because if they were, they just be told to get the fuck out.
Right. So it's like,
you don't run this. We just let you run it.
Yeah. So it's like that board of directors.
Look, you heard that story from I think it was Meltzer. Like, hey, this is what people were trying to, you know, give Triple H comfort. Is like, nah, man. They told him, hey, you got to cut X number of people to bring up to be able to offset the number of people that are coming up and having to get new contracts. Make your cuts. And people were trying to be like, you know, Triple H, you weren't allowed to, you know. No, nigga, like he's a head. He is the GM. You know, the GM gets told, they get told to do what the fuck they're told or quit. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah. So, like, you know, it's rather unfortunate. Like, and I don't know. It makes me grateful that I can watch another promotion or whatever that will look. They'll give me so many matches that like. I ain't even got to worry about it. Like, so, look, they'll give me one too many matches. So.